Hi you guys, this video is on comparing real numbers, and as we work through this lesson, please make sure you have a piece of paper out, something to write with, take notes. You can use your notes as you do your assignment. Also, if you're having any questions as you are watching these videos, please make sure that you are writing those questions down and then bring them to me. I am here and I'm really willing to help you with whatever you need, but you have to make sure that you are asking me the questions as you have them. So let's go ahead and get started comparing real numbers. So in math, we use inequality symbols to compare numbers, okay? An inequality is a way of saying that two things are not equal. So if there is a symbol that looks like this, that's just a way of saying that they're totally not equal, okay? This would be less than or equal to. Anytime you have the line underneath the inequality symbol, that means equal to. So it can be less than or equal to. We have the greater than, and then we have the greater than or equal to. Okay, now remember when you are comparing numbers, the open mouth of the inequality points towards the one that is of more value. Okay, when I was in school, I learned it as the Cookie Monster wants to eat more cookies. I have had some of my students tell me that they learned it like the alligator is hungry and wants to eat more. Okay, whatever way you learned how to put the open mouth towards the bigger value, that's awesome. Okay, you can totally use that in this class. So with that said, let's start with just comparing some fractions. Okay, so remember fractions are rational numbers. So let's go ahead and just compare these. Now, in order to compare these, in order to determine which one is bigger than the other, we're going to have to give both of the fractions common denominators. So that means we're going to have to make them equivalent. We're going to have to make equivalent fractions with the same denominator. So for A, we have 3/4 and 3/8. So if we want to make 3/4 into 8ths, so we can then compare them, to get from 4 to 8, we have to times by 2. So that means we have to times 3 by 2, which is 6. So what we're comparing here is 6/8, which 3/8, and 6/8 is bigger. So we would use the open mouth would go towards the bigger amount. 6 out of 8 is bigger than 3 out of 8. Okay, let's look at the next one. 1/8 and 1/7. Okay, if we're going to compare these, they need to have the same denominator. So in order to find the same denominator, we need to find the least common multiple between 8 and 7. Okay, so multiples of 8 are 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48, 56. I think that's as far as we'll need to go. Multiples of 7 are 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, 42, 49, 56. Okay, so we can see 56 is our least common multiple. That's the smallest multiple that they both have in common. Okay, so now we are going to change this one to 56, and we are going to change this one to 56. To get from 8 to 56, we have to times by 7, which means we have to times this by 7. So 1/8 is really 7/56. Okay? 1/7, to get from 7 to 56, we have to multiply by 8. So we also have to multiply the top by 8. So that would be 8/56. And now if we're going to compare these two, 8 out of 56 is bigger than 7 out of 56, so the open mouth goes towards the 8. Okay, let's go ahead and look at the next one. We're super lucky here because we have 8 and 7 again, and we already found out that their least common multiple is 56. Okay? So, to make 3/8 an equivalent fraction to something out of 56, to get from 8 to 56, we have to times by 7. So we have to times the top by 7. 3 times 7 is 21. Okay. To get from 7 to 56, we have to times by 8. 3 times 8 is 24. Okay? Now that they both have the same denominator, we can compare them. 21 out of 56 is less than 24 out of 56. Okay? 24 is greater, so notice the open mouth goes towards the 24. Okay, let's go ahead and look at D. Now on D, it might be a little tricky to try and find a common denominator between 11 and 20. To find a least common multiple might take us a while. So on this one, instead of doing that, I'm just going to change 5/11ths into a decimal. So I'm going to take 5 and divide by 11. And when I do that, I actually get 0.45 repeating. And then 11/20ths, if I change that into a decimal, I get 0.55 repeating. Okay, and so then if I do that, I know that 0.55 is bigger than or greater than 0.45. 0.45 is less than 0.55. Okay, let's go ahead and look at the next one. Least common multiple between 8 and 9 would be 72. And if you're not sure, you can do what we did here. You can start counting by 8s. And then you just start counting by 9s and then find the least common multiple. Okay, so to get from 8 to 72, we had to multiply by 9, to multiply the top by 9 to make an equivalent fraction, so that would be 63. To get from 9 to 72, we have to multiply by 8. We multiply the top by 8. That would give us 64. 63 72s is less than 74 72s. Okay, and then the next one, 1/3 and 6/18. Well, we can see if we were to simplify this fraction 6/18, 6 goes into 6 once, 6 goes into 18 3 times. These are actually equivalent fractions. Okay, so those ones would be equal. Okay, now let's go ahead and do the same thing with these decimals. I think that this one is going to be a little bit easier than with the fractions. When we look at A, remember when you compare decimals, it's really good if you just think about it like money. So we could just make this 90 cents. We could make this 50 cents. We could make this 60 cents. We could make this 30 cents. We could make this 10 cents. And we can make this 10 cents. And then they're really easy to compare. Okay? So this one would be bigger. 90 cents is bigger than 9 cents. This one would be bigger. 50 cents is bigger than 49 cents. This one would be bigger. 61 cents is bigger. If this is 10 cents, 11 cents is bigger. If this is 10 cents, well, 10 cents is bigger than 8 cents. And then 30 cents is equal to 30 cents. Okay, on the next one, compare using greater than, less than, or equal. And we have fractions and we have decimals. So we need to change the fractions to decimals and then we can compare. So 2/3, we've done this one a lot so far in this unit, is 0.66 repeating. So that's like rounded to the hundreds would be 67 cents. That's going to be bigger than 50 cents. 3/10. This would be 3/10. Just say it and write it. 3/10. So that would be like 30 cents, which is less than 35 cents. 1/4, if you were to change that to a decimal, it's 0.25, and 0.25 is equal to 0.25. The next one, 7/4. As a mixed number, 4 fits into 7, 1 with 3 left over, so 1 and 3/4. 3/4 is the same as 1.75. So $1.75 is bigger than $1.25. Okay, 1 and 3/100. We can just write that. Just say it and write it. 3/100. So 1.3, if we were to add a 0 there, that's going to be bigger than 1.03. And then this one, So 1/10 would just be 1/10, 0.09. 1/10 is bigger than 0.09. Okay. I think that you guys are probably okay with this. We did some of this in the last video, that video that took so long. If you're having any questions about these, please make sure that you come and ask me for help. Remember, when you are comparing fractions and decimals, the easiest thing to do is to change them all to decimals and then to compare the decimals. Okay, so we're just going to move ahead. What I want you to do is I want you to do this first column right here. Okay, so I want you to do this first column, and then I want you to check and see if you got all of them right. If you got all of them right, you are ready to move on to your assignment that is comparing rational numbers. If you didn't get them right, I want you to move to the next column. And then if you don't get them right, I want you to move to the next column. Okay, so as soon as you have practiced this and you have corrected it and you got them all right, you're ready to move on to your assignment. So go ahead and push pause right now and work on this first column, and then push play and you'll be able to see the answer key. Okay, so hopefully you've taken a minute. You have all of the answers written down on your own paper for each of these. And let's just go ahead and correct them. 7 is bigger than 5. -7 is less than -5. Remember, -5 is to the right of -7 on the number line, so it's going to be of more value. 2 is less than 2.5, but when we're talking about negative values, -2 is greater than -2.5, because -2.5 would be to the left of -2 on the number line. On this one, 0.7 is bigger than 0.7. On the next one, -0.7 is bigger than 0.7. For this one, -3 is bigger. For this one, -3 1/4 is bigger. For this one, -2/3 is -0.66 repeating. Okay, and that would be to the right of -0.6 on the number line. So value-wise, -0.6 is bigger. Okay, -1.4 would be -0.25, which would be to the left of -0.3 on the number line. So it would be less than. Okay, and then we have -5/9 and -0.5. We know that this one would be of more value. Okay, now, if you missed any of those, what I want you to do is I want you to try the next column. So go ahead and practice the next column again. Push pause, and then once you've had a chance to do them, push play, and I will go over the answers with you. If you got all of these right, go ahead and push stop on this video and do the comparing rational numbers assignment in Canvas. Okay, so if you're working on the second column, make sure you have all of your answers written down first. If you don't, do that, and then push play, and I'll take you through the answers. So 15's bigger, -12 is bigger. These two would be equal. These two would be equal. 1.75 is not as big as 1 4/5, it's less than, which means that in the negatives, it's of bigger value. -44 is of more value than -54. -0.5 is less than -9/20. Okay. -6.49 is bigger than -6.5. -1/8 is bigger than -1/4. And then for the last one, okay, so here is the answer key for the second column. If you got all of these right, go ahead and move on to working on your comparing rational numbers on your ALEKS assignment. If you did not, or sorry, in Canvas, not ALEKS assignment, comparing rational numbers in Canvas. If you did not get them right, go ahead and try the third column. So push pause, try the third column, and then push play. Okay. So 400 is bigger. Negative 350 is of more value than negative 400. Okay, even though 400 is bigger than 350, because we're talking about negatives, negative 400 is going to be to the left of negative 350 on the number line. It's of less value. Okay, and you can even think about this money-wise. If you owe 350, that is having more money than owing 400. Owing 400 is having less money. Okay, 6.45 is bigger, which means that this one right here, this is of more value, negative 6.40. Okay, 5/8 and 0.5. 5/8 is bigger, which means that in the negatives, negative 0.5 is going to be bigger. Okay, on the next one, 827. And I'm not going to lie, I'm going to use the calculator on this one. I told you guys not to use calculators, but this is 0.33 repeating. And actually, I didn't even really need to do that because this one's negative and this one's positive. So obviously this one is worth more. Okay, same thing here. This is bigger because this one's positive and this one's negative. Negative 7/8 and negative 4/5. I can give these guys common denominators pretty easily. This would be 35/40. And this would be 32, negative and negative. And so the negative 32/40 would be of more value. Okay, this one, negative 100, is of more value than negative 101. And then the last one, if we take 3/16 and we change that to a decimal, it's 0.1875 negative, and it's a smaller number than 0.25, so that means it's going to be of more value. Okay, so at this point, go ahead and move on to working on your comparing rational numbers Canvas assignment.